We just found a new subject that we have got to talk about. So apparently, Harry and Meghan are planning to divorce before the end of the year. Of course, there are probably many reasons the two of them are splitting, but one big reason could be because Harry is simply not making enough money to make Meghan happy. And I know many people out there might disagree with me. The only scenario, though, that I can picture in which Meghan and Harry divorce is if they are ordered to do so by the monarch, because Charles and Diana were actually made to divorce by the late Queen. And as I understand it, the reason why the Queen ordered this divorce was thanks to Diana's unfortunate interview that she did with Martin Bashir, in which she answered the question put to her and said that she didn't think that Charles was actually qualified to become king. Now, I don't believe King Charles is going to order Harry to divorce Meghan, because even though Meghan and Harry spew so much venom against the royal family, Meghan never came out and said that Charles should never become king. Now, Harry has said a lot, but still, he's actually not said publicly that his father shouldn't ascend the throne. So there's really no basis for Charles to order them to get divorced. One question is, would Harry dare to begin divorce proceedings? I don't know. See, I've got a difficult time imagining that would happen because Harry has never said anything bad about Meghan as far as we know. In fact, he's only ever made statements holding Meghan up on a pedestal or even using her as a battering ram with which to assault the integrity of his own family. Would Meghan initiate divorce proceedings? Well, yeah, I can imagine that happening, but only under certain conditions. Meghan would have to get a pretty famous divorce lawyer like Gloria Allred, and Ms. Allred would come up with a divorce strategy that is completely foolproof that would make sure that Meghan would win. I mean, I think it would be easy actually, because Meghan and Ms. Allred could compile so many horrible tapes and evidence that Harry is drug addled, that he's out of control, that he's abusive, neglectful, or even an abusive parent, probably. It wouldn't be hard to portray Harry as a psychopath who has caused Meghan untold pain and stress. Because after all, he is the only one in that marriage who has talked about any antisocial and illegal behavior. We've never heard a word from or about Meghan doing drugs, only about wanting to hurt herself because of that cruel family, but luckily she escaped. Somehow, Meghan has managed to keep her skeleton safely in the closet when it comes to her past. I mean, her private life seems to be pretty clean, at least after she stopped working on the yachts. So I guess she would get Ms. Allred to put into motion a divorce negotiation that would include about $100 million of hush money, some alimony, and probably even custody of invisible kids who can then be rescued and rehabilitated from their dysfunctional parents. I think $100 million, though, is the minimum that Meghan would be happy with. But I think there is no amount of money that the king would not pay to get back his damaged son and his invisible grandkids too, if they're real. So I suspect the palace is going to have a good plan to help rehab Harry, and he's going to accept that, like his Uncle Andrew, he needs to be kept out of the public eye for many years. Now, when do I believe Meghan is going to make her move? I think as soon as she can be assured by her lawyer that she's going to make a lot of money and also get to keep that Duchess title. We know the latter is guaranteed because the king doesn't want to take back any titles given to his son by his mother. If he were to do that, then he would need to negate a royal action by his late mother, and I don't believe he wants to do a thing like that. And I suspect Meghan's going to be ready to make her final move as soon as she can find herself another billionaire to marry, and then she's going to be finished with Harry forever. But she did learn how to play this game from her mother Doria. Just look how many decades that woman has leached the life earnings out of Thomas, and she was never held accountable for her behavior. And if this all happens, then I do hope people can understand why the king would be willing to pay. It's not because he's weak. Instead, it's because he would love to see Harry start to rehabilitate and to finally get Meghan out of his and his family's lives. King Charles would not want to interfere with his late and respected mother's wishes, though. See, I believe that Miss Allred would be Meghan's first choice of lawyer. She's a strong fighter for victims, and she has been involved in precedents set by court decisions. Gloria Allred would have a ball acting for such a famous victim, wouldn't she? And if they divorce, it's going to be because Meghan wants a divorce. Harry doesn't really have any reason to divorce her, actually. See, Meghan has convinced Harry that he really needs her, that she really is the reincarnation of his late mother. And also, I think that Meghan is the one supplying Harry with his drugs. Doria is going to lose a pretty good customer if they do get divorced, though. Harry, I think, will be absolutely devastated by Meghan leaving him, and I think it's going to take a little while. because it can only happen once Meghan finds herself a rich man who is ready to take her on. Meghan's pretty long in the tooth now, though, and she doesn't have a lot going for her. She's a woke victim. The only man who I can think of who actually is rich enough and to my shock actually likes her would be Tyler Perry. But he's probably not eligible because he is the wrong color for Meghan. Let's remember that she is never going to date a man of color. In fact, she likes her men white and rich. I don't think that Charles is going to pay a settlement for the divorce. After all, his mother didn't pay anything towards Diana's settlement, and I don't suspect that Charles is going to want to pay for Harry's either. So I suspect Meghan might give Archofficial to Harry and then keep Invisibet to give to Tyler Perry if she ends up with him. He's going to go from godfather to stepfather. I hope that he's smarter than that, though. But after seeing him and listening to what he said in that Netflix docuseries, my opinion on him did change quite a bit. I mean, just look at how much money the family paid for that wedding, for Meghan's dress, for her wardrobe, etc. That race card, when played by a shark, can be worth a lot more, actually. The other women who divorced people were from British old money society or the aristocracy. They actually had decency and good manners. Meghan is not like those women, though. She's got no manners, she has no sense of decency, and she certainly has no conscience. There are thousands of people who are married all over the place, and they get those quick divorces that you can get in Las Vegas. Apparently, you can get married and then divorced overnight in Las Vegas. That's just one example. Now, as far as I know, they can legally get divorced in the US, especially since one half of that marriage is a US citizen. Now, the distribution of the wealth might be a little more difficult to figure out, considering that that money is closely held by trusts. That is where the direct and indirect value of the invisible children comes into play. I mean, Harry probably had an absolute fit when his grandmother didn't just collapse because she loved Meghan so much. I think Philip may have made the observation that one dates actresses but does not marry them. Maybe Harry should have looked a little more closely at the lifestyle of his ancestor Edward VII. He frequently went out with ladies on the stage, but he was still married to his wife. But anyway, I got off topic a little bit. So Harry loved his grandmother. I don't deny that. But she was not one to try to hide it when she was not happy with something. Of the two, I believe Meghan was more likely to have resented the late queen, especially since she would not allow Meghan to get her own way all the time. Her late majesty was, and the Princess Royal continues to be, very perceptive. It is noteworthy that Meghan really avoids Anne, probably because of that. It looks to me like Meghan is not yet ready to divorce Harry. Everything is not set up yet, and Harry is still defying her and going to major family functions. Obviously, he needs more work. When Meghan has him exactly where she wants him, at that point she's going to strike, and I think this is going to happen when it's least expected. Meghan doesn't necessarily even need a replacement for Harry, but anyway, I guess she's going to have one waiting in the wings. It could also be that Meghan this go around is going to choose somebody who has something else to offer her rather than money, maybe even Marcus. See, Meghan won't require the money of a rich husband anymore because her settlement will probably be enough to help her live very comfortably. Will she get to keep the invisible children? I don't think so. But if she does, she can afford the very best nannies, and there is another meal ticket anyway, so she might try to. I'm sure the royals would pay the boarding school fees anyway. So are they going to divorce? Well, absolutely. But when will it happen? Who knows? And you, what do you think about their marriage? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments section. If you think my video is useful, don't be afraid to like and share it with anyone else who would love it anytime you want.